Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Judging Nerd Culture. I'm Ollie.
And I'm Jess.
And today we're going to talk about not the thing we said we were going to talk about. There was a bit of
we didn't play it.
Yeah, there was a bit of a overestimation in how much time we would get to put into this game.
Yes. I was hoping to be able to beat it before we recorded.
Mm-hmm.
However,
things happen, you know. The thing is, it's a very short game, so we're like, we got a week, we'll pump it out, not a big deal. But then it's like, oh, well, I just got home from work, it's got a time for dinner, and then it's like, oh, I'm gonna take a shower and go to home and go to bed, and things just get past you.
Yes, you just get. By the time I get home from work and I've settled down, I'm just so tired, and I don't want to have to since Hellblade is such a game you want to pay attention to.
It's a game that
I'm too tired to put in the mental capacity to do it.
Mm-hmm. It's a game that almost requires you to be emotionally involved. Like it requires you to be sensory based, involved in what's going on, and that's a big ask at the end of the day.
Yes. So now that we're done making excuses for ourselves, we will have it in the next episode, because I actually really like it a lot. It's probably so far this year. I know it came out a while ago, but it's one of the games I've played this year. One of my favorites. Yeah.
No, it's there's no pretending we're not going to give this high praise.
Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about that today. Today we're talking about the suspenseful horror flick known as Underwater. And I don't really have a whole lot to say about it unless we get right into things.
Yeah.
But it's a horror flick and it's underwater, so it's everything that terrifies me.
If you don't know what Underwater is, it is it came out end of last year. The Kristen Stewart movie about her basically fighting mermen.
Yeah, it's just like we were saying, she goes full Ripley on some merman, and that's the movie.
Yeah, which after seeing this movie, made me realize, and I texted a friend saying, if they ever do reboot Alien for some reason, and it's not just a continuation of the story or a prequel or whatever,
but a straight reboot.
But a straight redoing of the franchise. That Kristen Stewart, I'm not saying don't scout and look at other newer people or other actors, but she'd be a pretty good option for new Ripley.
She'd be a good new version of Ripley. I feel
if you watch Underwater, you'll know why I say this. If you've just watched Twilight and Charlie's Angels, you might not understand why.
Yeah, but for anyone who doesn't understand, Kristen Stewart and what's his name?
Who?
Edward?
Oh, Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson. Twilight was the least impressive showing of their actual capabilities.
It was kind of just a springboard for them to put themselves out there.
It was a way for them to make money and then get life going, because their current career trajectories are far drastic changes from where they started.
Yes.
Robert Pattinson is
he's Batman.
Well, yeah, he's gonna be Batman.
He's gonna be Batman.
And he's been in so many deeply impressive character dramas, indie dramas that are genuinely wow, that's a whole fucking person. That's a whole person right there.
A lot more layers and a lot more emotional and complex than Edward. I remember first watching Twilight, and I actually really loved it because I had read the books. And, well, I think I actually read the books after I watched the movies. But I had read the books and I'm watching the movies. And it's the first scene that he appears in the lunchroom in the first movie. Hi, baby. I was just in awe. I was like, oh my god, he's so hot. Look at him. He's got the floof of the hair, and he's got like, ooh, that jaw. Yeah, I don't know. I was very, I was very smitten with Robert Pattinson as Edward. As I've gotten older, I'm like, wow. Like, he's definitely someone a middle schooler will fall in love with, but me as an adult now, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in middle school you fell in love with Edward. In your adult years you might fall in love with Robert Patterson. Pattinson. Fuck. I was so close.
But yeah, I think that's correct because he's actually pretty cool.
He's a pretty cool dude. And so is Kristen Stewart. Like,
I mean, adult me has also fallen in love with Kristen Stewart. So I mean, younger me really, for some reason, had a passionate dislike for her, and now maybe I understand a little bit why. But I didn't like her as Bella just because, like, nobody did really, you know.
Yeah.
But it was Bella. You know, Kristen Stewart did a good job at making you really not like Bella.
Which, like, that, I hold to the idea that Bella is a unlikable character on purpose. Like, there's no way she was meant to be a character young girls wanted to be. Yeah.
Well, I mean, young girls wanted to be in a love triangle with a sparkly vampire and a long-necked werewolf, but they didn't want to necessarily be Bella. He has a really long neck.
That took me.
And everybody's always like, well, they used to be Team Edward or Team Jacob. Sometimes I would say Team Jacob because I knew that's what people wanted me to say, but I knew I was Team Edward because Taylor Lautner, I'm sorry, Taylor, you're a very fine human and you're pretty average looking, but to me, I don't think he's attractive.
I think he's pretty darn attractive. I was much more...
him. I like Shark Boy Taylor Lautner. Yeah. After that, it's downhill.
That's when you had a crush on him.
When I was that age, I had a crush on him as well. Now, I'm just like, oh, look, he's so cute. I don't have a crush on him now because that's weird.
Well, yeah, you were the same age. Yeah. You can look back on when you're in elementary school and be like, she was so cute, I loved her. But, like, understand you don't think tiny children are attractive.
Yeah, but I like Shark Boy Taylor Lautner. If you don't know who Shark Boy Taylor Lautner is, you need to leave this podcast.
Or go watch Shark Boy and Lava Girl in 3D.
And then pay on our Patreon and make us talk about it.
Oh, God.
That's an idea. And all the Spy Kids movies. We will do that if you want us to.
At least one of those movies was good.
Oh, come on. The virtual world of Spy Kids, that was pretty cool. And the Weird Monster Island.
Baby.
I didn't like the thumb men. I didn't. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. So, 2 quick notes.
I'm really off track here.
The virtual reality world Spy Kids movie was the best Spy Kids movie.
It had Elijah Wood in it.
And 2, the thumb guys. We had a high school principal back in my youths in 2010s. His name was Rustow or some shit like that. Fuck you, Rustow, you're a piece of crap. Anyways, he looks like a thumb, man. Like, he had the exact same body shape and, like, head shape. If you just lifted your thumb up to the back of his head as he was walking away, he would just look like a thumb, man. It was wild. Anyways, so let's... what do we talk...
off track.
So far off track.
Anyway.
We were saying...
This is about Underwater,
yes, where
Kristen Stewart tries to beat up mermen.
Shark Girl and Lava Boy. She beats them up real good. But yeah, it's impressive to see because admittedly this character is pretty reserved as well. Mm-hmm. Like, if you've only ever seen Twilight and then you move on to this one, you'll think she just got better at playing like the reserved, quiet person. Mm-hmm. But if you've seen some of her other work, you can see more diversity. Yeah. But it's... Even
before Twilight, she was a great actress. Mm-hmm. She played in that movie Safe Room. I think that's what it's called. Mm. She was a little baby Kristen Stewart.
Was the one
she looked like
famous
a little
black
boy.
guy in it?
I think Forrest Whitaker was in it. Yes.
I'm gonna erase that.
You should keep it in there. It's hilarious.
But anyways, yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, it was just Twilight that really... You know what? We should just talk about Twilight.
One of these days, we should definitely talk about Twilight.
I think we have a lot of opinions.
But, so, like, you can really see that she's developed a better grasp of this, like, quiet kind of... Definitely some sort of depression issues, a lot of insecurities, a lot of paranoia sort of character, because that's what she kind of has in this particular movie. And it seems you can pretty early on it's sort of mentioned that, like, oh, she has some issues here and there because of loss, because of this or that or the other thing, and she is a little nervous and a little on edge, but like that's what makes her more prepared than other people. And it's a good thing because this movie starts so goddamn quickly.
Yeah, it does. See, when I saw the commercials for it, and you see the scene where she's running through the halls with water chasing her, you think that's probably halfway through the movie, you know, after some stuff has happened, or just as stuff is going to happen.
Yeah, it's like rising action. But
that's right away.
That's the first scene.
Yeah, it's the first scene.
Like, there's like 2 minutes of her having like this internal monologue of like dreams, reality, blah, 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 who gives a shit. Then boom, things explode and she starts running for her fucking life.
Yeah.
It's
good. It's a good scene. And I don't know. It's just good. It's very...
It's very action-packed.
Yeah.
Like, there's no fighting or whatever, but it's just, like, to go from being so... we just looked over, and our cat Mabel is full force eating her butthole.
Stop it.
Oh, Mabel.
Okay.
But yeah, it goes from this, like, quiet introspection of, like, when you're, you know, have this sort of lifestyle career that she has where it's months on end of just being sort of by yourself or with like a small crew of people that you only somewhat interact with. This solitude can sort of start to disillusion you and like separate you from your sort of understanding and grips of reality. Like, what did I do last week? I don't know. Nothing matters. It's all starting to blur together. And like it's very quiet and very somber, and then within seconds, things start to explode, water starts rushing in, people are clearly going to die within a second here, and she's just running, and it's a really lovely scene. Really good contrast between the first minute or two, and then boom.
And it's like collect myself. In that first scene, even though it's only 5 minutes, if that, yeah. You even get a lot of clues or details into her character. Like she's banging on the doors, you know, trying to wake people up. So you know she wants to help people. You know, she's not just gonna like save herself. And she struggles to close the door when she sees people coming because she really wants to help them, but she knows if she doesn't close that door, that water is going to destroy everything. And she hacks the door thing, controls, because it's underwater and it has to be, you know, a whole system in this underwater...
Facility?
Well,
I'm not sure what word you're looking for.
I don't know what the word it was either. That's why I looked at you. I needed help. But so you know that she's also not just there to be like an assistant or whatever. Like she's smart. She's there to do her job, and you can tell she's going to be a very compassionate character who maybe struggles with some of the things that happen.
Yeah, it's honestly pretty impressive the way they not shoehorn, but just show off her, like, who she is as a character, like you were saying, in these moments. Because she could just run down the hallway screaming like, hey, things are going wrong, whatever. But no, she genuinely tries to get people up. She slams on people's doors, even though that's wasting time. There's water literally rushing in towards her. In those scenes before she closes the door, the water gets past those two guys, but she's still like resisting closing the door because there's a desire for hope. And that was a pretty, I think, impressive way to show off her early characterization. All right. So obviously, Kristen Stewart is not the only person in this movie. There was a handful of other primary casts, none of which I was visually familiar with. There was one lady who I believe also played in Iron Fist from the Netflix show.
I know. I didn't like that show, so I didn't watch it.
You're not the only one. I watched the whole thing. Wasn't very good.
But she was the ninja lady.
Yes.
The fighty lady.
She was the love interest and combatant.
We don't have any of our resources. And we never write anything down. So, names of people are not going to be here.
If you're watching on YouTube, they'll flash on the screen because I can do that. But if you're listening on the podcast, I'm sorry.
But the guy, the comedic guy with the stuffed animal, he is familiar. I know I've seen him in other movies.
He's usually like a stoner comedy character. Like that's his brand. He's honestly a weird source of like emotion in this. Like everyone's pretty emotional. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of tension, but like the biggest moments of like, oh, it came from this dude. Yeah. Who like starts off pretty much naked, saved from the rubble by Kristen Stewart's character.
I mean, he was sleeping. The facility basically fell on top of his bedroom. But yeah, spoilers, I guess. Which, I mean, if you listen to our podcast long enough, you know that we do spoilers once in a while.
Yeah, we fuck with spoilers.
But he's so sweet, and I thought he was going to be in more of the movie because I swear to God I saw a trailer where he was farther in the movie. Maybe it was a deleted scene. Maybe it's in like the director cut or something.
Maybe it was just a lie.
Maybe it was just a lie. Maybe they just lied to me. I don't know. But when we lose him, I got very sad when we lost him. Because like you said, he is one of the more emotional ones, and like they tried to make him one of the more like emotional deaths. I feel like a lot of them, most of them, they try to make.
The deaths are pretty impactful.
Yeah.
Like a lot of horror movies have like deaths, even comical deaths to some extent, or some are just like, oh, what the fuck. But this one, each one was like, oh no, like this is upsetting and suspenseful and all this sort of things, because each of the characters honestly were really interesting in their own little ways. Even though with a lot of them we didn't get a whole lot of time or backstory really. Like the movie kind of goes, even though it seems like the atmosphere makes it seem slow and it seems like they're just slowly walking through and figuring everything out, it never stops. Like there's always
something happening.
Yeah, something bad's happening. They have to figure the next thing out, and it's impressively done the way they're able to work in these characters have these motivations. You within the first few moments of meeting the captain, you realize, oh, he's got some stuff going on with his definitely still alive child. And the two who are like romantically involved with one another, and this character early on, I don't remember the character's name at all, or the actor. He didn't look familiar.
He was the first person that Kristen Stewart comes in contact with, right?
And she and this guy, they see each other running through the hallway. They manage to close down the door and save the rest of the facility. And it seems like this is going to be her, comrade for the movie. Potentially even a love interest if things go well. Like it was a solid character, and he seemed like a good dude.
Yeah.
But then early on, and again, spoilers, there's a scene where they need to get some gear on, some deep sea gear, and walk on the surface of the Mariana Trench, which horror. Like no monsters or whatever, nothing. Still horrifying.
Well, yeah, because even if this isn't a weird kind of sci-fi horror movie, there's still weird stuff down there. Like in real life. There's giant squid.
Ooh.
There's weird anglerfish.
Yeah. There's everything down there.
There could be a megalodon.
I suppose
There could be giant eels. Like that, what is it, SCP 3000?
Yeah.
There could be giant things down there. We don't know. We haven't studied the Mariana Trench good enough. There could be anything down there.
I vote we never study it.
There could actually be mermen down there.
I vote we never study it. We never find out. We just let it live and don't bother it.
In movies, whenever government of some kind or a scientific group of some kind, whatever, corporation, whenever they do something, the bottom of the ocean,
it's bad.
Something comes out, whether it's kaiju or
fucking hell itself. Like, yes. Don't fuck with the ocean.
Go into space, and it's your fault because you landed on an alien planet and you're dumb.
You have a better chance of surviving aliens than whatever comes out of the ocean.
You know, you could crack some seal in the Mariana Trench, and the lizard people could come out.
Yeah. Then reptilians will take over the... Oh, wait, that's already happened. No, anyways.
Or, all those ants that are just in the core of the earth.
What?
Have you never heard that
I don't... We can talk about that later.
The theory that the core of the earth is just a bunch of ants. Which is my nightmare. I hate ants so much.
Okay. we do not have...
nightmare.
We don't have the time to unpack.
You know how some people think if you die is like your own hell? I'm just going to be covered in ants.
Baby, we don't have enough time to unpack everything we just said. But let's get back to this character. Again, I forgot his name. And it's unfortunate. He's the only black character in the movie. He's the only really not white character, to be honest.
Besides
the Asian lady.
Asian lady.
Mm-hmm. So, I feel bad that I don't remember him at all. His name at all. But yeah, he starts off, he seems like a very, decent individual. He seems like... He'll be the second longest to survive. You can always spot that character in a horror movie, in a suspense movie. And then early on, they're all preparing these suits to go underwater and get to the next safe location to try and escape, to try and get to the top. And they have to put together enough, properly maintained suits to do so. Because if you go outside, you die.
Well, it's the bottom of the ocean. You're going to be crushed by water.
Instantaneously. So, after doing this, he's looking around for a decent helmet because, again, most of the building exploded, so everything is a little beat up. And he finds one with a little bit of a crack in it, and he hands one of the helmets to Kristen Stewart.
Yeah.
And then they start going. And at first I thought, oh, did he give her a faulty one and it's going to start freaking out when they get into the water? And it does, but he grabbed it himself. He didn't give it to anyone. He took it himself. And that alone was a wonderful, circular arc for this character of selflessness and immediate action. And it was really interesting. And then right as it's as soon as everything starts flashing red, you start worrying oh no, what's and then boom.
Yeah, because he immediately becomes one of your favorite characters because of how just good he is for wanting to protect her, even though he doesn't know her.
Yeah, he's just trying to be a good person. It's
in reality, who in that situation would give the cracked helmet to Kristen Stewart?
To Kristen
Not
Stewart?
me, because she's an angel. But yeah, it's a really, when you're in a life and death situation, you don't really know what you're going to do until you're in that situation. But that's courage. He didn't know if he was going to die or not, but he assumed.
Yeah. There was a certain reservation of well, okay. Bright side, not a slow death.
No.
The suits also seem to be powered by this little unstable nucleotide of some shit that just The second something bad happens, it explodes real hard. So, dangerous. But unfortunately, he's gone pretty early on, and that honestly sets sort of the tables for every other character to slowly, one by one, either be dreadfully injured or just killed. And as the movie progresses, you get these little moments of like, okay, there's this whole thing going on with the place we were in falling down upon us, and us being stuck in the bottom of the ocean, and all this shit that we have to deal with and figure out. And there's a mystery of like, why did everything go wrong?
Mm-hmm.
So as they're doing their as they're doing their thing, trying to escape, trying to figure things out, weird things start happening. Start seeing things, and pretty quickly, it's monsters. It's fucking underwater monsters. And
look at all them monsters.
look at all them. It's oh fuck. I genuinely am terrified of the ocean. Not like going into the water. I don't like it too often, but I don't mind. The ocean, the idea of the ocean, terrifying. So this movie was just like, yeah, no, this is right. This is the correct emotion that you're supposed to be portraying here.
It's freaking monsters.
And from there forward, it's just like, okay, who's the next person gonna die? Who's the next person gonna hurt? And the comedic relief guy who clearly had a lot of, I don't know, emotional depth,
Mm-hmm.
you never really get to see because he dies, and it's a pretty gruesome death.
Yeah.
He gets literally pulled out of his suit. And the two who are like in a relationship, the boyfriend guy gets severely injured.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like everyone's just not gonna make it. The captain goes down, saving the other guy. Kristen Stewart gets separated. Like, there's so much that goes on that's just like, this is getting worse and worse, and there's no way we're gonna survive this. And you know, like, as far as tone goes, because that's what I'm focusing on right now. It's just like the progression of the tone from like this very suspenseful, like, oh, the world's falling down on us, we have to go, we have to figure stuff out, we have to survive, we have to escape, to we're being hunted by monsters. That was a subtle shift that was really impressive. I was really into that.
I don't know if it was subtle.
Well, okay, not subtle, but just like it was smooth. Like, it wasn't like, oh, this is a completely different movie. It was, oh, this is what the movie really is. You know what I mean? Like, it felt natural and right. It didn't feel like in a movie where everything's suspenseful and scary, and then, oh, they picked up a gun, and now it's a Jason Bourne movie.
It was really disappointing when that guy died.
Which one?
Was the... You're right. The comedian. Well, the funny guy.
The funny one, yeah.
And one of the things that I liked was that he carried around like a little bunny.
I think it was a stuffed bunny.
A stuffed bunny. And he gave it to... Who was it? I think he gave it to the doctor or the scientist who was there. And in the end, he ends up getting into a pod, and he leaves. Mm-hmm. And he leaves with this stuffed bunny. And I thought that was really sweet because you know that he's going to keep it forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
But then you see, like, the ending, not the credits, but the end where it's, like, kind of showing you what's happened afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
And it's, like, the newspaper clippings and stuff. And you see the little furry bunny in a, like, Ziploc evidence bag. So you know that he wasn't able to keep it. And that's a really big bummer. And I, like, that made me even more sad.
Yeah, there's a weird amount of emotion connected to this tiny little stuffed bunny.
Yeah. But after that happens, and like you said, after that couple gets attacked, he's losing oxygen, like his suit doesn't have much left. And Kristen Stewart. I think her name was like Olivia or something. But after she gets separated from them, she's able to find the next spot they were going to. This other building that I don't remember the name of, but she's trying really hard to figure out, like, she thinks she's alone. She thinks they're dead because those things out there are super fast. I mean, they're mermen, so, like, they live down there. They can see and move much faster than they can. And
they're also, like, 10 feet tall. They're huge.
But she's trying to make something, isn't she?
Yeah, her suit is running low on everything, and it's kind of beat up. So she's piecing together from, because this is an older facility. It was abandoned because it's older.
From the 80s, the captain, it used to be like his barracks when he was, before he was a captain. Mm-hmm.
And she found an older model of the suit she's wearing, like a prototype or whatever. Mm-hmm. And she started fixing that up and piecing together bits and pieces of the old suit and the new suit to put together something that works.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and as she's doing this, it also gives you glimpses of the room that she's in. It's like just this really big, probably like just like the main room. Mm-hmm. And you can tell that the now captain kind of had some secrets. Like, he might have known what was happening, or at least he had suspicions that the corporation was hiding things, or that they were up to something.
Mm-hmm. Just like in any good movie, the corporate pigs are the evil villains in the end. It shows off some hints of, like, oh, the captain knew this was going to lead to something bad. Mm-hmm. He knew there was something potentially weird or off about...
They were covering something up.
Mm-hmm. And maybe he didn't know it was actual, monsters or whatever. Maybe he had a suspicion, but he didn't know until, like, this thing was going on. But, that aside, she manages to put together her suit and decides to get back out there to get to the next place to try and get the fuck out. Mm-hmm. And she finds the couple still alive. Yeah. The guy is being dragged by his girlfriend at this point. Like, things are not well.
She can hear him over the
radio.
Speaker? The radio, yeah.
But she can't really communicate with them, which is troubling because it sounds like the girl is gonna kill herself. Like, she's...
Yeah, like she's... You can tell she's thinking, he's not gonna make it. I don't know where I am or what to do, so I might as well die too.
Oh yeah, it's wonderfully done. Like, this beautiful claustrophobic darkness, because, like, it's just her and this guy. She's dragging his limp corpse.
And she was just like his girlfriend, and like she was also there, like, studying and researching too. But she's like, if she did get to a facility, she wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah, like, she wasn't one of the operators or the mechanics. He was a medic there, I believe, right? He was the doctor?
I think so.
So, like, even if he was awake, it's not like he knew how to operate everything. Mm-mm. So, like, even if she knew where she was going, like, and she doesn't, she's surrounded by nothing but absolute darkness. Like, it's hopeless. And Kristen Stewart is able to hear this, and she is noticing, like, oh, this is going to end poorly. And it's very suspenseful.
Yes. She starts running towards her, and it just... You feel so tense because you're not sure if she's going to get to her on time to, like, let her know, hey, I'm here.
We can figure it out.
We can figure this out. Yeah.
She does everything. The day is saved for the next few minutes. And they move on, next facility, to all this stuff. And here is where I'm going to give the final spoiler warning, because I want to talk about the ending because it's fucking great. And it's big spoilers. Big, beautiful spoilers. So they make it to the facility. They find the escape pods. They get in them and escape. Kristen Stewart's character sort of pushes the other two out first because the third escape pod, of course, is slightly broken. And she, being the hero that she is, saves the other characters. Mm-hmm. And then...
Well, by this time, you've seen the bigger threat.
Yes.
Which is not just the mermen. It's kind of what the mermen live inside, which is weird.
On the top of? A part of?
But you're rooting for Kristen. You want her to survive. She's a really good character, and she's so tough. Like, she's really trying to help these people, and...
You know, it's so hopeless, but you still, like, are rooting for the character. Especially since it's a movie. Like, part of you sort of feels like there might be a chance.
Yeah, but it's a good ending. When she's putting the people in the pods, it's just a couple that's left. The couple and her. And the guy, he can barely function. Like, he's running so low on oxygen. She puts him in the pod, gives him the bunny, and sends him up. And then the girl, she notices something's up.
Yeah, she can put a little bit of a fight.
Are you going to be okay? Like, the third pod is okay, right? And she's like, oh, yeah, it's fine. You know, you just take this pod. I'll be fine. I'll figure it out. No big deal. But she, like, fights her, and she's, like, doesn't want to go without Kristen. So she punches her in the face.
And sends her on her way.
And sends her up. Which, I mean, is an aggressive way to save someone. But sometimes you gotta use tough love.
Gotta do what you gotta do. But yeah, and at this point, she sends him off, and she's on her own. And like we mentioned, she saw the bigger threat. When they were walking in, like, there was these, you know, fishmen everywhere. She almost got eaten by one. Because, again, they're pretty big. They're, like, double the size of a person, and they can unhinge their jaw and eat you whole. Awful. But, beside that, they were surrounded by them, and then out of nowhere, they just all get swooped away. And in the darkness, behind the darkness, you see an even darker shadow looming, standing, and you realize there's a giant sea monster just there.
Yeah.
All these mermen are surrounding it, attached to it, a part of it, whatever.
Bigger than a kaiju.
Bigger than a kaiju.
Like,
huge.
Like, the biggest kaiju times, like, 5.
And it's awesome, honestly. And they obviously freak out, run inside, get in the skate pods, do the whole thing. And as, you know, the people are escaping, she's, you know, starting to slow down, like, all right, can I find a way to fix this? Can I do something? What can I do? She notices that all of the mermen are off to attack the escape pods, and they're much faster. And she decides to do a thing to save them, and it's going to require blowing up the facility and herself, and it's...
Well, I mean, this thing was kind of laying on the facility, kind of. So if you blow it up, you're gonna blow at least
his arm off.
30% of him off.
Yeah, and...
But, I mean, her friends have escaped pretty much.
Besides
a couple mermen who might be after them, but
the explosion will help that too, so, like, it's fine. And in these moments before, like, she wraps up, as she's doing all this science to put together a fucking nuclear explosion from the reactors of this facility, you get these flashes of the monster. You get to see more of its visage. And boy,
the best way I like to describe it is Cthulhu.
That's not a description of it. That is what it is. It was Cthulhu.
Yes. It was incredibly cool. Like, it was so cool.
Yeah, my only complaint is that you couldn't see it better. Like, it was all dark and, like, flashy. I wanted to see I
think that's part of the suspense, is not being able to tell how big it is, or exactly what it looks like. Just, like, playing it in your imagination, how many tentacles it has, or like how big it exactly is, because it is ginormous and terrifying and horrifying and also really awesome and cool. But one of the things I didn't like is that on his little tentacles is where those little mermen come out of the, little suckers, but they're not little suckers, they're
like
weird body holes where the fishmen live.
Let's be honest, the
fishmen are kind of like not parasites, because they don't feed off of him, but
they're organisms that live upon him. Yes. But, like, let's be honest, those suckers, there's probably teeth in there too. This thing is just the worst fucking possible thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, she she sees a clearer vision of literal Cthulhu at the bottom of the ocean. She realizes that these people had been digging and found glimpses of this stuff, hints of these monsters, and they kept digging, looking for whatever's down here, trying to figure out what's going on and trying to get more energy or whatever the fuck, because that's always the plot.
That's always the plot. You need more energy and more power.
And then it wraps up with her just blowing the shit out of everyone and everything.
Yeah.
Killing Cthulhu? Probably not. Maybe. Who knows?
Which is really disappointing because...
Oh, yeah.
Then she dies and there's like no chance of a number 2, which I think would have been kind of interesting.
Would have been neat.
I don't know exactly how it would have played out.
Well,
like maybe the corporation would have went back into business and... I mean, they do. In the end, you find out that they go back to work. But...
I mean, it would have had to go in an Alien-style shift of the movie. Like, the first one is a very, like, thriller, scary movie. And then, I think the second or the third one is like, guns.
Well...
So it would have had to shift.
That's Predator.
I think
you're getting them mixed up.
No,
Are you
maybe.
thinking of where he rubs mud on himself?
No, I'm almost...
The forest or rainforest? Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I know what... Look, I never watched it, but I do know what Predator is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm almost certain that the Alien movies go from, like, this horror thriller to pretty action-heavy guns and aliens and shit. Almost 100% sure.
Well, I don't know. I'm not an alien expert, but... I mean, there were points in the movie... there was a scene where they think they find a distress signal and they go to search for it, and when they find the body, it's the back of it has like those moving, like, not pustules, but like that weird organism in it. Do you remember?
Yeah, it was like a baby version of the merman.
Yeah, so like that could be a thing.
Yeah,
it's not, face suckers, but it's a sort of creature that needs a body or a host to... I mean, it doesn't need it, but it's another source for it to thrive.
Mm-hmm.
And she could have come back to save more people or whatever. I don't know. I just wanted more Kristen Stewart to save people and beat up mermen. I appreciate and respect the original Alien franchise, and I think it's very well done and really cool and spooky, and the face suckers freak me out because the idea I don't like it, but I think it'd be really neat if they rebooted it and Kristen Stewart was Ripley. Or they made just more. Maybe she wasn't Ripley. Maybe she was her own character, but Ripley-esque, and had to deal with the aliens. Either way.
Cool, strong lady to beat up monsters and be in her underwear all day. That's that's the dream.
She wasn't in her underwear all the time in this one. Only in, like, the very beginning, because she was getting dressed.
Well, yeah, but after that, everyone was in the spacesuit.
Yeah.
But anyways, so yeah, let's wrap this up. I think I'm down to do the same thing we did last time. Personally, I give this a solid, like, 8 or 9. This was a really good horror movie. I think as far as just, like, what an audience would look at this and feel, this is a solid, like, 8 movie. This is a good ass movie.
Okay, yeah, I think I'd give it like an 8.5 to a 9. To make it more than that, I think I'd want... I wouldn't say for Kristen Stewart to survive, because I think that her dying was pretty impactful. Mm-hmm. But I think I would want the baby bunny boy comedian guy to live, and maybe a little bit more interaction with the merman. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just think it's a 10.
Maybe it is a 10.
Because I was trying to figure out ways to make it better, but I don't know. I think it's a pretty good movie. It's a pretty okay blend of action, suspense, and horror. It's not like a straight horror, I wouldn't say.
No.
So if you're looking for like just spooks, it's not this one.
Yeah, there's not really a whole lot of jump scare. It's more constant fear of the unknown.
Yeah, and very intense situations. So, yeah, I liked it a lot. I'd give it a 10.
Nice.
I liked it better than Bloodshot.
Yeah, that's fair and true. Mm-hmm. All right, this was a great movie. You should go watch it and let us know exactly what you think about it.
Mm-hmm. And you should check out more Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson movies and not judge their whole careers on Twilight.
Indeed. But yeah, that's everything I've got. Next time we'll almost 100% probably be talking about Senua.
Yes.
So I'll see you then. Bye.